Hello, and welcome to the Appraiser XSites 1 Jumpstart Your XSite class. My name is Joel Baker, your instructor. For this class, I've created a checklist or a worksheet that we're going to use. To get a copy of it, open a browser and go to alamode.com. Hover over Training, click on Appraiser, click on the tab for Recorded Webinars. Find the XSite section, choose this class, which is the Jumpstart Your XSite class, and click on Download the Worksheet. You can then print it from your browser. We're actually going to use this not just as a checklist, but it's really going to act as notes for this class to help you take your notes. But then at the end it will also really act as a task list, a set of things to get done. The Jumpstart class is really designed for pretty much everybody who owns an XSite, regardless of which level it is, be it the standard level or the enterprise level, and also how long you've owned it and what you've done with it. I know a lot of people that have had XSite for several years that haven't done things with it, and that's fine. You're pretty much at the same level as the person who just bought it. So we got all kinds of people that this class is good for. Even those who have had the XSite for years and have updated the home page and so forth, they generally tend to find things in this class, some large and critical things that they've missed or that they could do a little bit more effectively for search engines, for instance. So as we go through, I am obviously going to focus on the things that everybody can do, and the class is really designed, the first part anyway here, where I talk about what to put on the home page. It's if you do nothing else with your website, do these things. It's really designed as a low-to-the-ground type of step-by-step procedure. We're going to actually talk about individual points, and then I will walk through how to do each one of them. I talk to appraisers all the time, and I'm constantly asked, Joel, what do you think about my XSite? What do you see here? What would you change here? That sort of thing. And generally when I look at a website, I look at it through two filters. And these filters are going to guide essentially all of the classes in the track system. The first is search engines, Google, Yahoo, Bing, MSN, and so forth. And I ask myself several questions. First of all, what does Google see? And what does Google want? There are certain things that Google doesn't actually see that you might think that they do, and there are certain things that Google wants. As it turns out, you'll notice one of the other filters is an individual, like a pair of eyeballs is what I refer to them sometimes. What is somebody who comes to the website? What do they see? What are they looking for? That sort of thing. And a lot of times the search engines are replicating those same wants and desires. In fact, that's part of what Google tries to do, is tries to see, are you helping individuals? What should you put on the page? What text should go on the page, and where should you put it? Generally speaking, there are certain places, especially dedicated to search engines, which I'll show you, where certain major keywords for individual pages need to go. There are specific places that work better than others, and we'll walk through where those are as well. When we get to a pair of eyeballs, what do people look at? What do they actually see? Where does the eye go on the page? What are people looking for? Is another big question. When somebody comes to visit a website, what are they looking for? And I pull out the top two things and make you list them out here. We'll talk about that too. So then what should you put on the page, and obviously where should you put it? And based on the answer to that first question, what do the eyes see, should essentially tell us where you should put things. For instance, I see a lot of appraisers that have a lot of text on their home page, and their service area, I have to actually scroll down to find it. Well, that's one of the things that the clients want first, but what they end up seeing is what comes up first at the top. And so you have to mate, essentially, what somebody wants with what their eyes see. That's the best way to make that happen. And that's really what this class is geared around, is breaking that down and talking about the most important things to put on, especially the home page. And our overriding concept for all of our classes about marketing and XSites and everything is be more specific. In fact, here On your checklist at the very top, where it says goal, write in the words specific and general. So it should read, be more specific and less general whenever possible. Be more specific and less general whenever possible. And I'll give several examples of how that works. Let's go ahead and start off with the most important concept that you're going to learn in this class, and that is you cannot keep the text that we wrote on your home page. For some of you, you'll have text that's similar to this. Obviously, you may have some specific information about your area here, but the rest of it, of course, will be ours. For others, people who've had XSite for a little while, maybe more than a year, you may have text that looks very, very similar to this. Obviously, what I've done with this is I've come in here and I've put in some information about myself. Oklahoma City area, 17 years of experience. I've thrown FHA in, but I haven't changed 95% of the text. And for various reasons, and all of them very important, do not use the text that we provide as a template and just fill in information about yourself. Don't read it and think, this all applies to me, so I'll leave it there. My recommendation is always to scrap the information that we write and start from scratch. In fact, the 10 points here on your checklist for customizing your homepage is about what I want you to replace this information with. So do not fall into this trap of using the text that we provide as a template. Either this text or this text here or some other of the templates that we have. You must create your own custom content. Most important point in this class. So of course now the question is, what is it that you're supposed to put on your homepage? Created this page on my website. It's a sub-page, but it is by far the best page on this website. It's the one that's the most helpful, gets the best ranking and the best keywords and so forth. But I start out with a pretty base assumption about the way people use the internet. People are lazy when they use the internet. All of us are familiar even with the fact that people are just lazy when it comes to reading. How many times have you been on the phone with a client or an underwriter and they're asking you these questions, well, did you do such and such? And you're thinking to yourself, well, good grief, didn't you even read the report? I took the time to write it and send it to you and you paid for it, didn't you read it? So we all know people are just generally lazy. I'm willing to bet that when you looked at this website here, this particular page, that your eyes probably went to the photo first. Some of you, your eyes may have been drawn to the bullet points. Some of you, your eyes may have been drawn up here to the top. We're going to come back to this near the end of the this section about the home page. But what I'm willing to bet is none of you started reading this, and none of you started reading down here either. People are generally lazy. They're looking for the easy answer. And here are the two top things to put on your website: service area and types of appraisals. When somebody is browsing the internet looking for an appraiser, they want to know two things up front. You know, they may want to know some other things as well, but before they know anything else, before they figure out, how much your fees are, figure out what all of your qualifications are, and where you went to school, and how long you've been in business, and all that kind of stuff. Before they know all of that, there are two overriding concerns that you must answer. Number one, can you do the type of appraisal they're looking for, and can you do it in the area that they're looking for? That's number two. Actually, on your checklist here, item number one, I'll just give it to you here, list your main service area. So write in the words service area. Number two, list your types of appraisals and any specialties. Things like FHA would be a specialty. Or if you do waterfront properties, that could also be a specialty. So number one, list your main service area. Number two, list your types of appraisals and any specialties. Circle the word list. My recommendation is always for these things, these two most important things on your homepage, the two things that people are looking for right up front, I would always bullet point them. Don't go overboard and list every city in every county. You don't need to do that. If you service 35 counties, you don't necessarily need to put that on the home page. You could put that on a sub page or something of that nature. You don't want to overwhelm people with information. So what I've done here is I've chosen 4 of the 5 counties that I do business in, and the top city or set of cities from each of the counties. A point about specificity here. Remember our goal, be more specific and less general whenever possible. Google is very literal. Whatever you type onto the web page here, that's what Google's going to read, and that's what they're going to list you by. And so sometimes what I'll see is I'll see people put in serving the counties of Oklahoma, Potawatomi, Noble, Logan, or serving Oklahoma, Potawatomi, Noble, Logan counties, period. It's, first of all, it's in sentence format. People don't tend to read sentence format. You definitely don't want to bury your service area in the middle of a paragraph. That's certainly a bad thing to do. That would be a negative in terms of what an individual would be looking for, right? One of the most important pieces of your homepage, and you're going to bury it in text? Not a good thing. So let's go ahead and list it out and actually use the words that you want to be found by. Oklahoma County. If you want to be found by Oklahoma County appraisals, the best thing to do is actually put Oklahoma County. Put the phrase in. Don't put Oklahoma, Potawatomi counties. Then you're being listed in Google for Potawatomi counties if you were to do something like that. So, again, it's semantics to you and me, but Google is very literal. Whatever you put on the page is probably what you're going to be listed by. And this is just an idea of one way to do it. I would always keep the home page fairly simple and basic and not overwhelming at all. Okay, item number 3 on your checklist here. When writing text, talk to your clients about themselves and not at them about you. A common pitfall that appraisers run into when they're deciding what text to put on their website is that they talk about themselves constantly. We, I, me, and us are used almost exclusively. They don't talk about the clients. They don't talk to their clients. They talk essentially at the client, the visitor on the website. So my recommendation is talk to your customers about them and not about you. And you can do that by pointing out a specific pain point, which is number 4 here on your list. It says pick a specific pain point and talk about it, and then solve the pain point. In a moment here, I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you how to edit this page. I'm going to replace this text with, instead of talking about me and my area, I'm going to talk about a particular pain that a customer has. The goal here is obviously to, and I mentioned this in some of my other classes, the goal is to start a relationship with somebody, with a client. And the client it's a service relationship basically. And in order to do that, you have to know what they're looking for, and the best way to let them know that you understand it is to actually say you know what's going on. Another way to do that is to ask a question. For instance, let me give you a very specific example of what I'm talking about. You could put something that's geared about you on your website like, we have a 24-hour turnaround time. Well, that's great. The pain point, though, for the client is that they need an appraisal tomorrow. That's their pain. So talk about the pain that they have, and maybe even form it as a question. Do you need an appraisal by tomorrow? With a question mark. Basically, it's focused around a need that your customer has, and you frame it in terms of them as opposed to you. So instead of we are FHA approved, say, are you looking for an FHA approved appraiser? Do you need an FHA appraisal? That sort of thing. So always talk about the pain points whenever possible. Talk about the client rather than yourself. I say all of that, and then what I'm going to tell you to do is down at the bottom, and again at the bottom, I would write a 3 or 4 sentence summary of your qualifications. Definitely no more than about 4 sentences. and put it at the bottom. Probably a few people are going to read it. I know that a lot of people, especially in some states like Florida, are required to put their license number. It's a good place to put that down at the bottom. But I would put that just a snippet of what you're about down at the bottom. Don't put a mission statement, and don't go to town on it and write a whole bunch of stuff. Keep it really short. In fact, that's number 5 on your list. Write a very short qualifications paragraph. Now, this is optional. I know some of you are going to want to put that on another page, like maybe an About Us page, where it's obviously that's what you're going to dedicate that page to, is something about you or your office or the business or you as the appraiser, or the staff profiles page or something of that nature. So this is optional, but you can go ahead and put this down at the bottom if you'd like. One of the other things that you need somewhere on the website, not necessarily on the home page, although my demonstration here is obviously on the home page, is you need at least 3 outbound links on your website that Google can see. Google doesn't like websites that are on the periphery of the web, where people link to you but you don't link somewhere else. That means you're not integrated fully into the internet, into the web, the World Wide Web. So definitely link outwards at least 3 times on your website. You'll notice when I click on University of Oklahoma, it opens up a new window and takes me to ou.edu. Same thing for FHA approved. I click on that and it opens up the HUD.gov website. I'm going to show you how to create those. Let's go ahead and pause here in our checklist. I'm going to show you how to log into the XSite and make these changes we've talked about so far. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see the admin login link. For those of you that haven't set up the XSite yet, obviously you'll need the link and username and password that we sent to you when you bought your website. If you need that again, just give us a call and we'll send it to you. Type in my password here. And here I am in my XSite. Now we're going to do this in the wizard, so the first thing you're going to click on is the XSite button at the top. It takes you to step 1. We're going to jump straight to step 6, which is My Content. You can click the next button to go to step 6 if you want to, or you can choose the 6th option down here on the side. These are steps 1 through 10 here in order. I'll choose My Content. To edit any page, you click on the name of the page. So for instance, if you would like to edit the Appraiser Ethics page, you click on the name of it. If you want to edit your home page, which is what you folks are probably going to do, as the first page to edit, you just click on the word Home. Those of you who are standard level XSite owners, if you try and check a box, it may actually prompt you with a little warning here in the middle of your screen saying that that's an upgrade feature. Standard level XSites are limited to 5 pages in addition to the online ordering and client login pages. So a total of 7, but 5 which you can choose. And you choose them by obviously checking the boxes or unchecking the boxes. If you've already reached your limit of 5 pages and you want to essentially trade one out for another, you'll have to uncheck a box and hit save, and then come back in and recheck the box for the one that you do want and hit save. That's for standard level XSite owners. What I'm going to do here is go to the Custom tab, which is where I've created this particular good home page. I'm going to click on the name of it, and it pulls open the editing wizard, which is where you're going to make pretty much all of these changes here that we're going to talk about for the home page. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see the page content window. The page content window here works just like Word or WordPerfect or WordPad or whichever OpenOffice Writer, whichever word processing software that you use. You can do font colors, which is why I have red. There's underline, bold, italics, left justify, right justify. You could throw in photos, which is what I've done here. And you can create links. Basically, what you want to do to recreate or to create text is to just click where you want to to put the cursor and start typing. For those of you that have something written already, maybe in Word, you can copy and paste, but you can also copy and paste specifically from Word. And this will bring across several of the Word formattings. If you've got tables or something of that nature, it'll actually put that information in here, bring it across with a lot of the formatting from Microsoft Word. What I'm going to show you here, I'm going to highlight this text and hit the delete key on the keyboard to remove that. I'm going to increase the size of my font to the size 4. I'm going to choose bold, and I'm going to put in my pain point now. Do you need an appraisal by tomorrow? I'll go down right underneath it. I'll turn the bold off, and I'll bring the font down just a little bit like this. And take advantage of our Rush service for a 24-hour turnaround time, period. If you want to get fancy, you could create a page dedicated to your 24-hour turnaround time and create a link, maybe on Rush service, linking to a particular page. Let me show you how to create links, actually. This was here on your checklist, number 6, to have at least 3 outbound links. Let me turn this particular link off, actually turn it off there, and I'll show you how to create it from scratch. Let's say I want to create a link to HUD.gov on FHA approved. I highlight the text that I want to create the link on. I click on the hyperlink manager icon at the top, which gives me my window. I type into the first blank where it is that I want it to go. HUD.gov. For outbound links, I recommend choosing New Window as the target. It'll put blank in here on the side, but again, New Window as the target. When you click OK, you'll notice you now have an outbound link. Let me show that one more time. Step 1, you highlight the text you want to create the link on. Step 2, you go to the hyperlink manager. Step 3, you type in your URL. Step 4, choose a target of New Window, and then click OK. That's how you create a link. Let's say that I decide that I want a page. I can create a page on my website for my Rush service dedicated to that particular page. There's several reasons that would be good. Obviously, I know some of you are limited in the number of pages that you have, so this might be something more likely to happen for an enterprise level website owner. But let's say you wanted to create a link internally. I'm not going to show how to create the page. I show how to do that on other classes. It's not part of what we're going to do today. But what I'm going to show you how to do is create an internal link. Same process. Highlight the text. Click on the hyperlink manager. Type in where you want it to go. bcappraisals.com/Rush. Obviously that page has to exist. But actually this time, for internal, I would say same window. That way when they click on it, my home page will be replaced with the Rush page that I have created. That's really what that's about. You scroll down to the bottom once you've made all those changes, and you hit Save and Close or Save and Continue. These save buttons right here. Steps 7 and 9 on your checklist, let me give them to you. Number 7, rewrite your page title. And number 8, rewrite your page description. You'll notice for number 7, I say to lead off with your main service area followed by your company name. Now, what went for the page content also goes for the page title and page description. Those are these two blanks right here. If you remember, in the content above, I had you remove the information. I told you to remove the information that we provide everybody. And the same thing is true down here for the page title and page description. There are 3 things that you can change about each page: the content, the title, and the description. The page title and page description are generally for search engines. They're either used by people in search engines or used by search engines to determine certain things. Generally speaking, not many people see just the page title. Most people, when they come and visit a web page, they look at the content. But one thing Google does is it definitely looks and compares those 3 things: the content, the title, the description. If you have a word in each of those, you are more likely to be listed for that particular word. So if you have the word FHA in both the content, the page title, and the page description, you are more likely to be listed for FHA. The other thing about the page title, the thing that makes this very important and very specific is, and I have the instructions for exactly what to put in here, lead off with your main service area, is that this is your Google listing. The page title is your Google listing. In fact, if I type in OKC Appraisals into Google, you'll notice number 3 here. I'm actually listed number 3, vcappraisals.com. You'll notice it's this particular page, not my home page, that's listed here up top. It's the good home, this particular one that I'm working on. You'll notice OKC Appraisals - Oklahoma City Appraisal - VC Appraisals. That's what shows up here. This is your Google listing. Your page title is your Google listing. On top of that, I told you this was a special thing here. Google looks generally at the first 3 or 4 words of your page title for the main keywords for that page. That's why I don't recommend leading off with your company name. I recommend leading off with your main service area. Pick a county, pick a city, and just go with it. I know some of you work in a lot of counties and you work in a lot of cities. I'm just going to tell you, you have to trust me on this. Be more specific whenever possible. Don't list everything here in the page title. Pick one city or one county and list it here with the word appraisal or appraisals, and then follow it up with your company name. The convention is to do a space, a dash, and a space between items, between phrases basically. Space, dash, space. Don't use commas in the page title. It's a sort of internet convention. And the page description, which is also important, the page description will sometimes be, let me pull Google up here. The page description will sometimes be this text that's right here in Google. This is pretty much the only place you'll ever see the page description, unless you go specifically hunting in the HTML code for it, which probably none of you will do. So, sometimes Google will put the page description here, sometimes they'll put the page content. That's up to Google. The thing that you can really control is this line right here. That's your page title. In the page description, I would use commas to separate things, and this is where you actually list all your major service area keywords, city names and county names. You'll notice it's not counties of Noble, comma, Norman, comma, whatever. It's Noble County, Logan County. Okay? Again, Google looking for being, specific things. Google being very literal. So page title and page description, that's numbers 7 and 8. Over here on the right-hand side, I would actually check these 3 boxes, and you might check this box one time, to submit this page to search engines. Once Google finds you the first time, you don't ever need them they don't ever want you to specifically submit yourself to them over and over again. Okay, they will come back. If it's been a while since Google's been, that's probably because your XSite doesn't change all that often. The more often you change your website, the more often Google will come back to re-index you. You can actually train Google to come back more often by changing the content of your web pages. So again, check these 3 boxes, and you might check this box one time for one page and just leave it alone after that. While we do have a class dedicated to marketing, let me scroll up and I'm going to talk about this item right here. email me for this week's coupon, and then followed up obviously with my email address. This is what is called, in marketing speak, a call to action. In fact, that's number 9 on your checklist. Create a call to action, make it obvious, and put it near the top. Number 9, create a call to action, make it obvious, and put it near the top. Basically, what you're going to do is pick a task that you want somebody who's visiting your website. Pick a task that you want them to do. Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to email you? Do you want them to fax you? Do you want them to order online? What is it that you want them to do? And it's great, folks, if you've got 15 different ways to get a hold of you. You've got a fax and a cell phone and a home phone and an office phone and voicemail and fax this and email that and 12 email addresses. That's great. And I'm glad that you're able to, to be found and people can get a hold of you. You got to pick one. You trust me on this. Pick the one thing that you want them to do. If they want to interact with you, they will look up your phone number, for instance, if they want to make that call. So have that on the website. But for the call to action, pick the thing that you want them to do. For appraisers, it's generally give me your email address, send me an email, ask a question, or give me a phone call, maybe for a quote, maybe to ask about a particular area, something of that nature. Anyway, this is something that's very simple. It could just be at the top, call me for a quote at, and then your phone number. But make it obvious and put it near the top. Make it short and sweet, by the way. I do go into more detail in some of my other classes about what a call to action is and how it works with your whole marketing plan. But do start to think about the kinds of things that you want people to do and how you want them to interact with you. This is just one idea of many, basically. One of the other things to do would be to put a photo of yourself. This is number 10 on your checklist. In step 2 of the wizard, add a photo of yourself or upload your logo. Well, you could put a photo in here, like I've put a photo into the page content here. This is not a photo of me, but it is a photo. You can do that here through the image manager, which is this button right here. But there are actually a couple of other places that I might do this instead. Let me show those to you. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and hit Save and Close. I'm going to go to step 2, which is Theme Preferences. And on the right-hand side, you'll see My Logo and My Photo. Now, the My Logo is going to go up here at the top. Okay, if you've got different themes support different size logos, the My Photo is going to go here right above the buttons. It's actually going to move these buttons down and put a photo right here. What I'm going to do is choose this option here for My Photo. I'm going to check the box for it, and this gives me the opportunity to upload the photo. I'm going to go ahead and click on that option. Which opens the File Library window. At this point, you can click Add New File and upload your photo. I've already uploaded mine, so I click on the name of it and click OK. You'll notice it puts the photo here on the side. And obviously, it puts it on the page itself. Hit Save. Now, you'll notice here it says best photo size is 120 by 160 pixels. For those of you that do not own Photoshop, I will tell you of a free web program that I personally use. I don't really know how Photoshop works myself, and so I enjoy the really simple programs. This one is called IrfanView. IrfanView. You can get to it at www.irf as in Frank, an as in Nancy, view.com. Okay, let's talk about CertMail. To set up CertMail, you do this from the User Management screen. You hover over My Office and click on User Management. In fact, that's point number 1 on your task list here for the Set Up CertMail. Set up your CertMail account in the XSite in the User Management screen. And you do that here. It's actually the first thing. You choose the option for your XSite's CertMail. and you tell us what you want that particular CertMail to be. Now, some of you are probably wondering what CertMail is. CertMail is really the brand name that we have given to our customers using email on their own domain name. So obviously my domain name, my website is vcappraisals.com. My CertMail then is Joel at vcappraisals.com. Actually makes it a little bit more professional than if I were to use an email like vcappr1976 at yahoo.com, which is what some of you do, or comcast.net, or earthlink.com, or Verizon, or Cox, or SW Bell, or SBC Global, or whatever. There's, hundreds of ISP emails that are out there. And every time you send an email from Earthlink, you are advertising for Earthlink. Every time you send an email from AOL, you're advertising for AOL. Imagine if you got an email from me, from Joel at Alamode, but instead of it coming from Joel at alamode.com, it came from Joel ALM 1744238 at yahoo.com. You would probably look at that email askance quite a bit. I mean, that's something that's really not that professional, and it doesn't really fly with your view of Alamode as a company. Most folks see us as a pretty professional organization, and we all have our own email addresses. Well, you can do the same thing. So Joel at vcappraisals.com becomes my CertMail account. On top of that, and this is a fringe benefit, on top of the professionalism that comes with having an email at your own domain name, as long as I am in business, I will never have to change this email address again. I own this. vcappraisals.com is my domain name. You will always own this domain name unless you sell it for some reason. Let's say 5 years from now you decide that you want to go with another website. Somebody's going to build you a website. You want to take your domain name with you. It does not belong to Alamode. It belongs to you. And we will just hand control of your domain over to you, and therefore you will still own, obviously, the email address for the domain name. So for some of you, not ever having to change your email address ever again might be a reason to just go ahead and switch. So here it is. Put in the email address and a password that you want. Answer a security question here. Just go ahead and fill this information out. Now, to check your CertMail, to read your email, you can click on the CertMail button at the top up here, which opens a new window. And some people use this. You can actually get to this from CertMail.com. You can log in there. You can log into the XSite and click on the CertMail button. But to be perfectly honest, this isn't the way that I recommend you actually read your email. I recommend using a desktop mail client. For instance, Outlook. And here I've got my Outlook. And you'll notice that I've got more than one inbox. Watch this. I come down here, Joel at iwantorders.com. And here's my inbox for this one. Joel at vcappraisals.com. And here's my inbox for this one. I have multiple CertMail accounts, you'll notice. That's one of my other training websites. Joel at vcappraisals.com. I have an inbox for that one, an inbox for Joel at iwantorders.com, and an inbox for my Alamode, Joel at alamode.com, which is my basic one here. You can do this, have the multiple inboxes for multiple accounts in your Outlook or your Outlook Express. You have to use what's called the IMAP feature. In fact, that's point number 2. To set up CertMail in Outlook, Outlook Express, or Windows Mail, if using more than one account in the mail client, use the IMAP, I-M-A-P configuration. Now, let me show you something. Go to alamode.com. Let me pull this window over here for you to see. And go to Support for Appraiser. Hover over Support and click on Appraiser. Type in the word Outlook. click Submit, and you want to find a tech doc. Go to Tech Docs. You see there's a doc here that says Configuring Outlook for CertMail. This is the one you want, so you click on it. And this is what we call a dynamic doc, meaning that it actually changes based on some settings that you make. Step number 1, pick your connection type. Well, remember, point number 2 here on your task list, click on IMAP. And then you pick your email program. Say that you've got Windows Vista, and you want to set it up in Windows Mail. You choose Windows Mail. It'll give you instructions with screenshots for how to set it up in Windows Mail. For those of you that are using XP, you'll choose Outlook Express. For those of you that have the full version of Office, you'll choose one of the Outlook options probably, depending on what you've got. So this is how you find the document, and that's how you set up your CertMail. Our last big task here is to set up the Mercury Network and XSite network profiles. First off, Mercury Network is the HVCC compliant platform that we have built for lenders, for your clients basically, to help them be compliant, give them some options for placing orders and so forth. And they can search for appraisers with certain profiles. They can find appraisers and search for specific appraisers, essentially add you to their fee panel and then place orders with you. But in order to be listed in Mercury Network, here in User Management, you scroll down and you fill out your profile here. Now, some of my stuff is red. The goal here is to get as little red as possible. So, for instance, license information here is red for me because it cannot verify that I have a license. I've made up this license number, since I'm not an actual licensed appraiser in Oklahoma. What we do is we verify the license number against www.asc.gov. Put your proper information into here. E&O information. Put your current E&O insurance information in here. To change this, you click Edit. Just type in the amounts and who it is and numbers and so forth, and hit Save. Now you'll want to put your products in. You know, if you do FHA, make sure and put the FHA products and so forth, and your coverage area. Make sure and fill all of this information out, and also check the box for Enable Profile on Mercury Network. For those that want to know more about Mercury Network, obviously there's quite a bit to it, especially on the lender side, which a lot of appraisers are really curious about. I do teach a class and have both recorded videos and recorded webinars that are available. If you go back to that support page that I just showed when we searched, obviously, for that document to help with CertMail, go ahead and go back there, search for the word Mercury, but this time choose videos, and you'll see both the recorded webinar and the recorded video. It'll find all of that information there for you. When you're done, obviously, at the bottom, hit Save. The XSite network you set up in Business Management. Click on Business Management. Click on XSite network on the left. Click on Coverage on the left. You fill in your state and counties, checkboxes there when you click Add. Make sure and check the box for Available to All, what types of jobs you do, and at least residential or commercial. You got to check at least one of these two, generally, in order to be found. Now, the XSite network can be found at xsitesnetwork.com. It is really for use with non-lenders. Remember, lenders are going to use Mercury Network because of the HVCC control that they get. Well, the XSite network then is for non-lenders. But to be perfectly honest, just from a strategy standpoint, I would spend very little time actually working on XSite's network. I would come here, I would set it up, and then I would just walk away. I would leave it. If it gets an order for you, great. Remember that most non-lenders are probably going to want to use Google anyway. They're going to go to Google and do a search anyway. Obviously, I think that spending a whole bunch of time here on your XSite's network and worrying about your profile and all that kind of stuff was pretty much a red herring, because most of the people that would use the XSite network are probably using Google. So spend your time working on Google, make your website better, so that when they actually come visit the XSite, they're actually going to want to stay and read your information and so forth. So here on your worksheet, number 1, set up your Mercury Network profile in user management. Remember, that's where that was. By the way, each user gets their own listing. That's for those of you who have an enterprise level XSite, those of you who have multi-appraiser offices. Set up each user on your XSite. Number 2, set up your XSite network profile in the business management screen. That's where we are here, business management, XSite's network. Okay, general guidelines. Let's just go through these one at a time. Number 1, the more specific when choosing keywords, the better off you are. Remember, be specific. That's our overriding goal here. When we build a website, when we do marketing, pretty much whatever. Number 2, if you haven't chosen a domain name yet, set one up in step 9 of the wizard. Well, remember, to get back to the wizard, you click on XSite, which takes you to step 1. We go down 9 to manage domains, or we just click next to go to step 9. And I've already got my domain, but you'll click on manage and purchase domains, and you can type in a domain name that you'd like to see if it's available. If it is, great. We'll register it for you and turn it on right there. Step 3. The more custom pages you have on your XSite, the more exposure you have on the internet. To say it another way, each custom page that you have on your website, each page that is custom, that has your content rather than ours, essentially acts as another listing inside of Google. So your home page is going to be a listing in Google. Your PMI removal appraisal page is going to be a listing in Google. Your tax challenge page is going to be a listing in Google. Each page that you create that's dedicated to a particular topic, that mentions things about your area and so forth, that are basically pages that are customized by you, those are going to be individual listings inside of Google. They're going to have different rankings. Each of them will rank differently for different keywords, obviously, but each one is its own listing. So that's why I recommend, this is for everybody. Obviously, for enterprise level XSite owners, you folks are going to have lots of pages available. For those of you that have the standard level XSite, my recommendation is, when you're choosing my content here, you actually you can change up any page that you want to, but don't just have the like the appraisal info page, for instance, which is one of the ones that we give everybody. We just turn it on for you. Turn it off. Uncheck the box and hit save, and either create your own custom page or find a page that you like and rewrite the content. So if you want to do, go for estate appraisals, you check the box for estate, click on the word estate to make the changes for it. So that's pretty much everybody. As many custom pages as you can. Number 4, how much of our pre-written content should you keep on the home page? Well, the answer obviously is none. The best thing you could do is to have none of the text that we wrote on your home page anywhere. Number 5, what is the next class you should take after this one? That would be Appraiser XSites 2 Non-Lender Marketing. For those of you that are enterprise level owners, this does cover, obviously, Accelerate. Anyway, I want to thank you folks for watching, and I'm going to give my email address now, joel@allamode.com, joel@allamode.com. You are all welcome to email me individually, say, hey, I saw your class, take a look at my website. I will make sure you've done certain things on your website. I'll make suggestions for you. I'll answer any questions that you have. So just as my thank you for making it all the way through this class, I give out my email address and invite you all to just ping me in an email whenever you'd like, joel@allamode.com. Thanks, everybody. Take care.